The boxcar. This is the design of vehicle that was met with a lot of controversy here in the US. In fact, when Honda brought us its Bold Element, which was based off of the CR-V back in 2003, it was met with lukewarm success. Toyota soon followed after with its spunky and relatively small Scion XB, and that vehicle was actually quite a big sales success for the company. Seeing that success, other auto manufacturers quickly followed after. Nissan brought us its rather odd-looking Cube, and then of course Kia was the last auto manufacturer to bring a boxy design. The company's new Soul was introduced in 2010, and it was met with actually a rather critical acclaim for its spunky design, its great value, and its really roomy interior. Now, the first generation Kia Soul ran from 2010 to 2013. What you're looking at is the redesigned 2014 model. This is the company's second generation Soul, and it's actually based heavily off of the Kia Trackster concept that they showed us last year at the New York Auto Show. Now, the Kia Soul is actually the best-selling box car on the market. Kia sells roughly about 100,000 units every year, and it's basically the best box car you could buy on the market. The Scion XB has definitely gotten old. Nissan's Cube never really got the sales success just because its design was a little too polarizing. However, you can see the Kia Soul is quite a funky, sophisticated, sleek design. Generation 2 certainly has some really nice styling elements, and Kia has basically refined and trimmed down the somewhat blocky first generation. Now, the Soul is available in 3 trim levels. There's the base model, the Soul Plus, which actually has a plus sign, and then my particular tester is the Soul Exclaim. Exclaim with an exclamation mark. This is the vehicle's top line trim level, and you can see it basically looks like the first generation. Kia basically just smoothed out the edges, gave it a little bit more sleeker design. Now the Exclaim, you can distinguish it from the body colored bumpers in the back, in the front. Those rather attractive looking 18-inch alloy wheels. Now if you look around to the side of the vehicle, the Soul is actually a very small car. It's actually based off of the Kia Ceed, which is basically the Kia Forte here in the States. Now, the second generation Soul has a 29% stiffer chassis and a 66% stiffer body, so Kia really worked hard to make this car feel much more expensive in the way it looks, the way it drives, and the way the interior is. Now, you can also distinguish a Soul Exclaim from those LED accented headlights with available HIDs if you guys go for the top of the line model, the body colored front fascia on the front, and then of course the rather youthful design that basically the Soul just radiates. And it's a vehicle that has gained a lot of critical success for sales and marketing. I mean, everybody knows this vehicle as the hamster car from Kia's award-winning commercials, and it's certainly helped to drive the vehicle's sales in the marketplace. Now, one of the benefits of a box on wheels design is a really, really spacious interior, and it's one of the reasons why this vehicle sells so well, and it makes a really nice alternative to traditional compact cars. You can see the interior of the second generation Soul is just completely redesigned. One of the criticisms of the first generation Soul was just how cheap and rather lackluster the old interior was. But you can see this one is just completely overhauled. Now, because it has such a high roof, it's really easy to get in and out of this vehicle. It has almost SUV-like visibility from the driver's point of view. I mean, you get that higher seating position, you have a really nice commanding view of the road. Now, my Exclaim model has basically everything. In fact, Kia calls this package the whole shebang package. I'm not kidding. That's what it says on the window sticker. So basically that'll net you this push button ignition. So I'm not really a big fan of where the location is. I constantly was looking over here for the button to start the engine, but nevertheless, just keep the key in the vehicle, put your foot on the brake, and push the button to start the engine. Now you can see the Exclaim with the whole shebang package gets you this unique instrument panel with a 4.3-inch LCD display. And you can see it's actually a very nice looking instrument panel. I'm liking the gauges, I like the font, I like the screen in the middle. It just looks very premium. This whole interior feels very premium from everything. The materials in this vehicle are all soft touch materials. You have a leather stitch portion here over the instrument panel hood. The door panels are also soft touch plastic, the same material from the dashboard. The windows are automatic up down for the driver and the front passenger, so very nice that they included that. You have a silver painted accented door handle here with more leatherette here, especially where your elbows are going to rest. The steering wheel is a new design for Kia. I haven't seen any other Kia with this steering wheel. It's a very nice design. I was definitely getting tired of some of the older design features in the interiors of some of the Kias that I've shown you guys, but this steering wheel looks very nice. You can see at the center stack here, this vehicle is targeted to generation wires, my generation, 18 to 25-year-old males specifically. So of course you can see you've got 3 speakers at the front. You have 2 tweeters at the side and then a mid speaker right there. This has an 8-speaker Infinity sound system as part of the Sun and Sound package. Now, this infotainment system right here, this is the only Kia that I've seen with the system. It's been designed to resemble an Android, and I actually really like it compared to the older Kias, or not even the older Kias, even Kia's newer model like the Cadenza, for example, the Sorento. This is totally different. I really like the interface. The map graphics look really nice, really clean, really simple, and it basically responds like a tablet. You can zoom in and out, you can swipe. It's actually pretty quick to respond. You do get Kia's UVO, their UVoice, your voice infotainment system, where you can basically just call out songs from your music jukebox, from your iPhone, your iPod, stuff like that. Now, you can see here, everything in here it works like a tablet kind of. I mean, you can basically scroll up and down this list here of your presets. If you go to the home page right here, or it actually gives you a nice little rendering of the map right there. And then of course you have your audio information. Your radio sources include AM, FM, satellite radio. You have Bluetooth streaming audio. You have Pandora. And then I also really like how this vehicle includes HD radio. I mean, a lot of premium features that you simply couldn't get on a car like this. Now you have to remember, this car is based off of a compact car, and there are features that you couldn't get on compact cars just a couple years ago. Some of those features include a heated and cooled front seats. You couldn't get that before. You have heated rear seats. The vehicle has a heated steering wheel, which with an exterior temperature of 29 degrees, I gotta say that heated steering wheel has been very, very nice. Now, when you put the vehicle in reverse, you do get a nice backup camera. It gives you your distance markers, but no trajectory. Nevertheless, that 8-inch screen gives you a nice, beautiful rendering. There's no sensors or anything like that, but the Kia Soul really just has an upmarket interior. Now, you can see the Plus and Exclaim models give you LED lighting throughout the cabin. And then, of course, you can get this gigantic panoramic sunroof, which opens hugely, and it just brightens up this really dark cabin. You can see here, and it also includes a power sunshade that retracts, but that's basically how large the sunroof opens, and I gotta say, it's a fantastic sunroof. It makes this interior feel much more premium than it is. Of course, being a Kia Soul, you do get those pulsating speaker lights, which are controlled from that little knob there. You can basically, when the headlights are turned on, you can control the music, the speaker lights from either the music. It'll actually beat toward the beat of the music, or you can just put it on mood, where it'll kind of just cycle through the different colors depending on where, you know, what you're feeling like. It's kind of a lot of engineering, especially since you can increase the intensity and turn it on and off. I mean, honestly, it's kind of a useless feature, but for this generation, the generation that Kia targets, it's a rather cool feature. I guess it'll impress your friends. Another benefit to having that boxy design is a relatively large back seat. I mean, you're going to find basically the same amount of legroom that you'll find in a lot of mid-size cars, and the wide body allows for 3 people to actually sit across, along with that nice flat floor in the center. Now, getting into the back seat here, you can see that Kia actually only gives you 1 map pocket. There are no rear seat vents back here, but a nice surprising feature happens to be the heated rear seat that is included with the whole shebang package. The door panel materials here are hard plastic, but at least it is padded right here where your elbow is going to rest. You get a nice center armrest right here with cup holders, but no additional storage. I mean, overall, this back seat is gigantic, and if you guys are looking for space, the box car certainly gives that to you. And even backseat passengers, you don't feel like you're in a cave just because you've got that huge panoramic sunroof letting in all the light. Now, cargo capacity is also another strong suit when you buy a vehicle like this. Surprisingly, though, when you have the seats up, you're only going to look at about 19 cubic feet of space. That's about average. A Honda Fit gives you roughly the amount of space. Same with the Nissan Versa Note. However, if you fold those seats down, you're going to get about 61 cubic feet of space. That's roughly SUV-like territory. Really, only the Scion XB offers more cargo space than the Soul. Now, those of you who are wondering what you find under the hood of the Kia Soul, You'll be slightly disappointed if you're a driving enthusiast like myself. Now, there's actually two available engines in the Soul. The standard engine is the Kia Rio's 1.6-liter four-cylinder engine. It's the company's Gamma four-cylinder. Now, it does have direct injection. Kia actually carried over those engines from the 2012 model when they refreshed the car. For the 1.6, you're going to make 130 horsepower. That's actually 8 less than the Kia Rio. Now, most Souls will be equipped with this model's engine. This is the company's 2-liter new direct injection four-cylinder, their GDI four-cylinder. This is the engine in the Forte. In the Soul, it makes 164 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque, which is actually about 9 less than the Forte. Not sure why it's been detuned, but nevertheless, it's much better than the old Soul's powertrain. The last Soul I drove was a 2011 model. That had the 2-liter without direct injection and only made 142 horsepower. Now, the 6-speed automatic transmission is standard on the Soul Plus and the Soul Exclaim. Those of you who want to stick will have to stick with the base model, which is a 6-speed manual. The previous model's 4-speed automatic and 5-speed manual nicely. Now, fuel economy has improved from the previous generation. However, this is still a box. With the 2-liter, it's rated at about 23 in the city and 31 on the highway with the automatic transmission. Those of you who option for the the Soul Plus, you can get the Eco package, which gives you an auto start-stop technology. That'll increase you up to 24, 31. Of course, power goes to the front wheels. Let's take a look at how it all works together. So Kias have pretty much always been known for offering a lot of value for money, along with that long warranty. But now with their current design of crops, or at least current crop of products, they're also known for offering a lot of stylish design, good fuel economy, and an excellent price to go along with that warranty. Now, a lot of the premium features that I'm seeing on new Kias today are really, really unexpected and pleasantly nice. Now, in the DC area, we've been basically hit with blistering cold temperatures, probably in the 20s. They haven't been getting out of that all week, and I really appreciated the heated seats and steering wheel in this car. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty here with the driving dynamics, because that's what I tend to focus on. The Soul is not what you'd call the sportiest to drive in the segment. Now, it has those sporty looks, but Kia has often struggled with the steering feel, the throttle response, the way the engine performs with their vehicles. But the Soul, I have to say, is a really nice improvement over the previous model and most other Kia products that I've driven. Now, the 2-liter direct injection 4-cylinder is the same engine that you get out of the Kia Forte minus 9 horsepower, but in the Soul it feels really responsive. The steering is also an area that Kia has really improved. Now, you still get the company's driver selectable steering modes. You can choose between comfort, normal, and sport. I pretty much left it in the sport setting, and it has an artificial heaviness to it, but for some reason the steering very, very precise. The car changes directions pretty well. There's a little bit more body lean that I'd like, especially for a vehicle that looks as sleek on the outside as this vehicle does. But I was pleasantly impressed with just how the steering feels and how fun to drive this car is, despite the fact that it does feel a little bit tippy in the corners. Now, the previous Soul that I drove was a 2011 model with the old non-direction engine with a 4-speed auto, and it was pretty awful. This new one is much improved. You can definitely feel the extra, 22 horsepower that the new model gives you. You can also feel the extra 2 gears that the 6-speed automatic gives you, and everything is relatively smooth. It's rather peppy. I expect a 0 to 60 time of around probably around 8 seconds for this car, which the old model took closer to 10 seconds, so it's a nice improvement. Now, an interesting thing that the navigation system does in this car is it tells you about curves ahead. Even though I don't have the GPS actually on or trying to get me to a destination, it'll let you know when you're on a curvy road that there's a curve ahead, which is kind of weird because this car is decent in the curves, but it's not what you'd call like a sporty car. Like, if you want to really attack the twisties, go for a Honda Fit or a Ford Fiesta, honestly. Now, on the back roads of the DC area here, this is really where the Soul really shines. This is a pretty small car, and it definitely feels small, yet you'd get a really nice, spacious interior, a good view of the road, and a ride quality that has been refined. Now, the old Soul had a really stiff, irritating ride. It was really, really choppy for even for most people. Now, the new one has been refined. Now, in the past, if you got the 18-inch wheels, you were basically screwed. You were basically going to be breaking your back over every bump. This new one's not necessarily the case, but it's still a pretty harsh vehicle on these really crappy roads here in the DC area.
Curve ahead.
Yes, car, thank you for telling me there is a curve ahead. Thank you. Now, Kia says that the new chassis of this vehicle is almost 30% stiffer, along with a 66% increase in body rigidity, and it definitely feels that way on these horribly bumpy roads. The structure doesn't rattle as much, it doesn't shake, and the whole car just feels very expensive. It feels like a class above a premium, or a class above your average compact car that a lot of buyers might cross-shop this vehicle with. Now, some of you may be wondering, when you have a boxy shape, how's the vehicle's noise when you get up to higher speeds? And Kia actually did a really good job with hushing this interior. The engine does have a little bit of buzz, but that's expected. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. But surprisingly, wind noise is pretty subdued. Road noise is on the higher side, but if you're going to compare this car to its competition, like the Scion XB or the Nissan Cubes, those are the car's direct rivals. The Soul feels the most refined. It's also the newest model. I mean, let's face it, the other two seems to be getting old, and the other manufacturers aren't really doing anything to update it. Kia, on the other hand, they've redesigned this thing, and it shows. I mean, the car feels very premium. It has some unexpected features. And you know, when Kia sells 100,000 of these every year, they really got to keep it competitive, and the company certainly has done so. One thing the Kia Soul is missing is it doesn't have any driver assistance technology, but it's kind of not needed for this type of vehicle. I mean, you have a really minimal blind spots in this car. I mean, the side mirrors are pretty small, so I would prefer some kind of blind spot mirror or blind spot assist, but in terms of lane departure warning, forward collision warning, it doesn't have it. But, you know, in this class of vehicle, you probably don't really need it. It's pretty small, and it would drive the price up too much if Kia did decide to include it. Fuel economy is also an area of concern when you buy this type of vehicle, and at rating at 23 city, 31 highway, it's actually rather disappointing, especially if you're going to look at a compact car where those are getting 40 miles to the gallon, along with the other subcompact competition. Now, that's kind of expected. This is a block on wheels. It's not very aerodynamic. With a 2,700 pound curb weight, it is slightly heavier than some of the subcompact cars, but I've been averaging about 20 miles per gallon in the city. And on the highway, the most I was able to do was about 28 miles to the gallon, a little bit below the EPA numbers, but I kind of expected that. Plus, the 2-liter 4 doesn't have much power, so I found myself constantly tipping into the throttle, especially on the highway speeds. I noticed if you set the cruise at 65, the car constantly wants to send the engine up to 4,000 RPM just to keep the vehicle at that constant speed that you set. Now, the 6-speed automatic also is a rather split personality transmission. When you're really heavy on the throttle, I noticed that it feels like a traditional stepped transmission with its gears. However, if you guys are just kind of cruising along at normal speeds and you just put your foot down just ever so slightly to increase your speed, the car actually feels a little bit like it has a CVT. I'm not really sure I can explain it, although it feels like a good CVT. It'll increase the revs in a kind of rubber bandy feeling, and it's not something that I typically liked. It didn't really inspire much confidence when accelerating, or it didn't really inspire much driving fun. Well, all that said, this 2-liter 4-cylinder is an adequate motor for probably about 90% of buyers. Now, the other 10% of buyers that Kia wants to sell this to, the Generation Y buyers, we're an enthusiast market, and I kind of think that Kia should offer an upgraded engine in the future. The company has a 1.6-liter turbo engine that's available in the Forte 5, or the Forte 5-door, or the Forte Coupe, and I really think that Kia should offer a Soul turbo. That engine makes 201 horsepower, and paired with a 6-speed manual, I think it would be a really hot seller, and it would really back the performance credentials of the Soul, and it would match the sleek exterior design of this vehicle. Now, we're coming up to the conclusion of this review, and I've been driving this car for a week now, and I have to say, I'm quite impressed with it. The old Soul, I really liked the design. I wasn't impressed with the driving dynamics or the rather cheap interior, but this new one, Kia has pretty much addressed all of my complaints with the old Soul and added a couple of unexpected features. The next step for them would really be to upgrade the car's engine. I really want to see the turbo 1.6 in this car. I think it would be an excellent addition. Now, with all this new premium features, Kia has actually done a really good job with keeping the price in check. A base Soul with a manual transmission starts at $14,900. That's actually the cheapest box vehicle on the market. The Scion XB starts at about $17,000. The Nissan Cube is about $16,000. Add $1,800 if you guys want the 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, most of you are going to get the Soul Plus model. That's about 19 grand with the automatic as standard. That makes it about a grand more than its competitors, but I think the car feels like it's worth that extra $1,000, especially with all the premium features, the sleek exterior design, the new technology that's in this car. It's definitely worth it to me. Now, of course, the Soul Exclaim. This is where the Soul gets into a rather new territory in terms of pricing. It starts at about just under $21,000 for a base model. Of course, I don't have the base Exclaim. You can add the Sun and Sound package for $2,500, or if you want everything, you can add the whole shebang package like my tester. That's an additional $2,600 on top of the Sun and Sound. And that brings us to a grand total of $26,195. That's pretty expensive when you compare it to the other box cars. Of course, you'll get premium touches to kind of justify that price, as well as an interior that simply blows away the others in terms of its materials and finish. So if you guys are in the market for that type of vehicle, and if you cross shop it with like a compact car, it's roughly in line for the fully spec model, but the Soul does get on the higher end scale. So if those of you who are on a budget, I would recommend just sticking with the Soul Plus model. That's about 19 grand, and it's a really good value and offers a lot of features, a lot of practicality, decent fuel economy, and good space, all wrapped in a rather sleek, stylish package. So if you guys are in the market for a box car, I definitely say put the Soul at the top of your list. I think it's the best in the class in terms of features. And really the only thing that's missing is available all-wheel drive and a turbo engine for you driving enthusiasts out there. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this 2014 Kia Soul Exclaim. If you're in the market for something like this, make sure you check one out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all later.